Islam is a communal religion.
Yes.
It's a religion in which we're supposed to be together.
Mm.
Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam constantly advises us and emphasizes the group dua as being more beneficial and more beloved to Allah than the dua that's performed by one person. So we are people who, we understand the importance of solitude. We have i'tikaf, we have different points in our lives where we're alone and it's important. And you're supposed to wake up in the middle of the night to pray and speak to Allah even before Fajr. It's important. That's your Ghar Hira. That's when you're alone. That's your cave. But also we're supposed to have a certain community that we're a part of and come to Allah together. The way that I see it, community does not have to be what we think it is, as in programs and lectures and sheikhs coming to speak to us. It starts very, very small. And I spoke to my brothers in London recently, they're telling me to come back to London. And I told them, look, if I come back, I have to come back to something where it's running the way that we want to run it. So I said, all I need is 10 of you, 10 solid brothers. You guys all go, make money, come back, we buy houses next to each other. None of this 1 hour away stuff. All of us near each other, 1 hour. Each one's married to a good woman, 10 boys, 10 girls. All right, now there's 20 of us. Each of us have 3 kids. Right, there's 50 of us. I'm just giving an example here. That's just amazing, small community. We work on that from the beginning. We have a little school, a little center, and we're together, and we start to grow. If I can't do that, I mean, I know it's far-fetched, but I'm just giving you an example.
I was dreaming already.
Look, I actually don't believe it's far-fetched. I think this is something we can do.
It's possible.
And I think that it's important that we start to look at our communities moving forward in the next generations. I look at my daughter, I think about her children, and I'm worried. And so I need to create a certain environment now where we're all close by. Okay, this is important. But I digress. I don't want to get into that right now. I'm just talking about this. It starts with your family. At home, if I wake up and I pray Salat al-Jama'ah with my wife and my children, and they understand it to be a community between us as a family, that we do things together, that we sit down together, we eat together. That's why Imam Sadiq, he says, when you break your fast in Ramadan, it's the only time when it's better to postpone Maghrib is to eat with your family, because they're waiting for you. If they're waiting for you, don't go pray, go sit with them. Community. This is community. Community is to realize, to interact with them in a way where your worship doesn't become self-righteous and arrogant. Community is where you serve. Community is where you realize that the people's needs for you are an opportunity for you. You serve them. Since I got here, you've been helping me with everything. You've been so kind and helpful. Alhamdulillah, and I'm so grateful to have people like you here. But this is, you're saying, if I wish I could do this full time, I want to serve, I want to help, I want to bring people to faith. Community allows you opportunities to express your faith and religion where you otherwise are not able to when you're alone, when you're serving the people. But it starts really small. We don't have to think about it as 500 people, numbers, 100 people, 50 people. Successful community is a group of people, 5 people, 4 people, whatever else it is, your family, your wife and your children, you're the community. You guys pray together and you eat together and you talk to each other and you sit down and you have a mission statement. All right, what is this family meant for? And we try to grow that to the outer community slowly. I think that the idea of a successful community comes after defining what a community even is. And I think we're defining it right now. I think in the beginning you have to realize you're already playing catch up. Because you're in a place that isn't an environment for your religious progress and spiritual progress. So you have to start to create that around you. And you can create that around you. You have to create a little, at least in the beginning, a small bubble between you and the brothers and sisters and the children, to the extent that you're able to guide them as they grow into coming out of the bubble with them. So it's not that you guard them from everything and they can't see the world. No, see the world with me. I want my daughter to see the world with me. I'll be right there in a safe space without smothering her. I'll allow her to experience and to understand. But I'll do it in a way that suits her, whether it's me or her mother or her cool aunt or cousin or whatever else it is. But I'll guard it from the top because I create an environment for her from the very beginning. That's why it all starts. I'm going to use the example of a child here to answer your question. the child absorbs everything it hears and sees.
Yes.
Sometimes people think that just because an infant is an infant, they can't understand. They might swear in front of the infant. There's music by the infant, the different visuals on the screens in front of the infant. But the infant absorbs everything, and their soul absorbs everything, even if they don't intellectually comprehend it. So I protect her eyes and her ears from everything, unless it's okay for it to seep into her soul. I'm going to do this in a way that doesn't smother her. I have to do this in a way where I have to be very educated, read a lot of books on how to raise children. I'm starting from very fresh now in raising a child. I see my family is going to rely on how I raise this child, because I don't want to have 1,000 years of my ancestors being Muslim and then in one generation I mess everything up, where my descendants, my grandkids or their kids apostate.
Yes.
Where they leave the path. I can't accept that. I have to create something at the very least right now within the West. And I understand not everyone in the West can leave because there is always hijrah to go to an Islamic country or to go to an environment that aids you. But that's not always available to everyone, especially people born in these lands. It's not like there's any way you're going to go that's going to accept you. Maybe that's how you feel. I mean, I've been in Lebanon for 10 years. They still call me Arab. Afwan, they call me British.
Yeah.
They still call me British. In England, they call me Arab, and I was born there.
Yeah.
So we're all children of diaspora. So it's difficult. We grew up in these lands. It's hard to leave these lands. So I'm not blaming people if they can't leave. We have to understand the context of what's happening. Of course, if it gets to a place that you're not going to protect your family, it becomes haram for you to stay there.
Yes.
You know. But if you're navigating, hey, you're born and raised here. I'm born and raised in the UK, and we're on the path of Islam. It's possible. It's just not as likely as every other path, but it's possible. So it's there. We have to create that environment for our children, whether it's schools or centers, and having a close, tight-knit community, like I explained a minute ago, of all of us living around it, like-minded people as well. And we have to be very involved in our children's lives. So there was a beautiful school that I came across in Qom a few weeks ago. It's Agha Panahian school. And he doesn't accept anyone into that school easily. You have to have interviews. The parents have to be vetted, and they have to be very willing to be involved in their children's classes. The way he teaches the kids is 7 years, 7 years, just like the narration. 7 years let them play, but teaches them values through their play. And their parents must come into school, and the father teaches his son how to be a man, and the mother teaches her daughter how to be a woman. And he has to go hiking, and they go on different expeditions and swimming and archery and whatever other activities, but the child's constantly interacting with their parent. And if we are going to live a lifestyle, a modern lifestyle, where the child is no longer interacting with their parent, where the father isn't the one teaching their child Quran, in the narrations of Ahlul Bayt, the father is the one who should teach his child Quran. He is the one who should teach his child dhikr of Allah and take him to the mosque. The father. The father. And that's why in the narrations he gets custody after 2 years. He is the one who teaches the child. I don't see many fathers teaching their children Quran. A lot of the time their child knows more Quran than them because they go to madrasa. They teach their dad's Quran. They have to have a relationship built on Allah. If you don't have that, what do you mean by family?
Yes.
What do you mean by family? Even if there was nothing attacking from the outside, nothing to armor through, it's just lost. It's going on roads that are very subjective. But if the father is ordered, like I mentioned, he has those attributes of a king, and he's just, and he protects his family, and the mother is there, and she is also fulfilling her role with the children and nourishing them in the way that only the mother can, then these children grow up in this habitat that we've created, and then we guide them slowly by taking their hand, allowing them to see the world with us in a relationship of trust and love and honesty and exploration. We go, we read, we see, safe space without judgment. If we can have a community that's built upon these principles, and like I mentioned, 10 families, 5 families, it's enough to have that. And be very careful about the bad apple. You know, be very careful about, it's not to exclude people, but you have to be very careful. The idea of the rotten apple came from one rotten apple in a bag with 10 good apples. If you close it up, the next day they're all rotten. So be very careful. You know, a lot of the time, our children, when we see little girls in madrasa reading 50 something that book, why are you reading that at the Islamic school?
Yeah.
The other kids showed you it. You're all in an Islamic school.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Schools can't raise the kids. The parents have to raise the kids.
Yes.
So if
That's
the parents
opposite nowadays.
exactly,
Yeah.
if the parents aren't doing their job at home,
Mm.
that kid's coming to school and going to infect other kids.
Mm.
So, which is why a lot of schools, for example, right now, the stricter schools, maybe they don't accept your child into the school if you allow him too much screen time, because the other kids don't have that much screen time. He's going to ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
These are the schools on the stricter end of things. Not everyone can do that.
No.
I'm talking as someone who can be considered quite strict,
Yeah.
right? But not everyone can do. I understand, which is fine. There are different Islamic schools around the world that are more lenient, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just giving an example of what I believe we need in our growing communities right now. And it's still early days. There's still so much. What I'm saying right now is still very general and very in the air. It's very different when it's applied on the ground.
Yeah.
But I really believe that we're in difficult times. We have to start taking this very, very seriously. You have to start really thinking about where you want to live in the world,
Yeah.
and if it's suitable for you. And you have to look at the community you live in. Some people move because of a high-paying job. You ask them, how's the community there? They say, what community? Yeah, I'm sure it's good. You didn't check the community?
Mm.
The community is important.
Yes.
That's going to be how your kids are raised.
Raised, yeah.
So is that a suitable community for you? And if it's not, you have to do what you have to do to bring a community together. I was speaking to your father this morning, and he told me when he first came from Afghanistan, he was alone.
Yeah.
And he started to slowly reach out to people, start to bring a Maulana, start to do something. You have to. You have to start somewhere. So you start somewhere. You know, right now, I feel that I am someone who's become very strict with this issue because of how much is out there
Yeah.
and how likely it is that they take the soul of our young children. So I'll do whatever I can to protect that soul
Yes.
in the beginning, a small bubble, and then slowly moving out of that.
Yeah.